Okay. Well, first, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to get all, yeah. Neatness has never been my strong suit. There was one of my colleagues who was notoriously unkempt. When he campaigned for his state House of Representatives, his slogan was, "Neatness isn't everything." He was in a safe seat, so it was okay. All right. Anyway, again, I came here today to the city of Amsterdam, and I want to thank Congressman Tonko, who, of course, lives and breathes Amsterdam, and our great Mayor Thane, who's always been there for this city and always been on top. And, you know, in the nick of time, one of the best mayors we've had in a long time, Brian Stratton. You can just go to downtown Schenectady and see his work, which I was happy to help with. It's a totally transformed place. And the fact that he is now in charge of the Erie Canal is so important because he's a capable man, and we have damage on this canal, I would say, like never in its history. Would you agree with that?
It far exceeds what we experienced in 2006.
The guess is it's probably the worst in history.
Yeah.
So why did I come here? Obviously for two reasons. First, to see it for yourself. You know, you can read about it, you can talk on the telephone about it, but to see it. To see that beautiful restaurant the Russos have, 90 years old, a landmark. People come from all over the country, sometimes through these locks here, to eat and to see so damaged, and to see the stoic and strong nature of Mike Russo and his wife and his uncle. It just gets to you. To see that the beautiful mansion here. My first meeting when I came to this county, right after I was elected to senator in 1999, was in that building at then Assemblyman Tonko's office, and it stuck with me. It's an old building, over 245 years old. It symbolizes the history of the Mohawk Valley and the beauty of the Mohawk Valley. And then to see the power of the water just take a side away. And seeing it, I have an urgency to do everything. Let's just wait till he finishes.
At least the trains are back up and running.
Yeah, that's right.
Senator.
That's a good sign that the trains are running. And we'll take the noise with the trains rather than no noise and no trains. But in any case, to see it makes me, makes you want to do everything you can to restore it, so that it could be around for another 245 years. And then, of course, to see what's happened here. This is Lock 11. Locks 7 through 12 were damaged, but the greatest damage is at 9 and 10. But just to look what happened here and to see the dam power the water, just pushing steel girders aside, visualizing how the river has changed, so the river has to be moved so the locks can work again. This is historic. The Erie Canal is America. And it's still very important to our Mohawk Valley economy, the economy here in the capital region and throughout upstate New York. You got to do something about it. I was just on the phone right here with Administrator Fugate. The good news is that FEMA is a good agency. They don't look to dot the I's and cross the T's and try to find 12 reasons why you shouldn't get assistance. They're very, very cooperative, and they are flexible. So we're going to need FEMA to declare once again, who would have thought twice in a couple of weeks, but once again to declare the Mohawk Valley, Montgomery County, and some of the surrounding counties major disaster areas, entitling them again to public assistance and individual assistance. Because the way the law works, if the damage was done in this storm, you need a new declaration to deal with the damage in this storm. And obviously, we're going to need lots of money from FEMA. Anything that is a government facility can be reimbursed up to 90%. That includes the locks here. That includes the mansion, the stone mansion, and then private businesses and private homes that were hurt, if we're given individual assistance, and I'm very optimistic that we will be, can get help to restore themselves. A guy like Mr. Russo can get help both to restore his restaurant and for loss of business, so that his cash flow problems don't cause him to go under. So I just, right here, right by the mansion, I impressed on Administrator Fugate how quickly we need that assistance declared. I'm optimistic that it will be, and then it will be my job and the Congressman's job to work with the mayor, to work with Brian over the next, not weeks, but months, and when it comes to the locks, even years, to make sure that that money is flowing and goes to the right places and doesn't burden local taxpayers. It is totally unfair to ask the taxpayers of the city of Amsterdam or the county of Montgomery to pick up all the costs here. They can't. These are not rich counties. They've had their share of troubles. We all know that. The federal government has always stepped in times of disaster. Tomorrow, when on the floor of the Senate, we will put a proposal to replenish the funding of FEMA. Those who last week, when I was in Schoharie County and mentioned that there were some who were saying they wanted to just sort of tie it down and not allow it to happen, tie too many strings to it so it couldn't happen, they seem to be backing off. So I am optimistic that we will get a full funding for FEMA, and very quickly. We'll start out in the Senate, which is more open to it than the House, but my view is that once the Senate does it, the House will do it as well, and some of the leadership of the House, even who last week were talking about standing in the way, are backing off that position. So we will first make sure in Washington that the money is available, and then it will be the Congressman's job, my job, to make sure it's here and here without all the strings attached and everything else, so that people really don't get the money. They need the help. Mr. Russo needs the help, the Mansion needs the help, the Locks need the help, and so do scores of other homeowners and businesses right here in the Mohawk Valley. So with that, since Binghamton is in terrible shape, and I'm going to have to get to Binghamton, I'm going to answer your questions first, then I'll call on the Congressman and Brian and the Mayor to say a few words after I head over to Binghamton. I'm going to start here in Amsterdam, then I'm going to Binghamton, and then I'm going up to Utica, further west in the Mohawk Valley, which has also suffered significant damage today. Questions?
Still $6 billion on the FEMA replenishment, or 5.1 as the President asked?
The President asked for 5.1, but that's in addition to the 1.8 that's already been allocated, so it'll get close to 7. Most of that is FEMA, but some of that, a small amount, but an important amount, is for our farmers. We've already helped them in small ways, but many of our farmers, particularly here in the Mohawk Valley and Schoharie, the fruit and vegetable farmers, have trouble. They don't get crop insurance. It doesn't fit them. Neither does it fit our dairy farmers. So we're making sure there's assistance for our farmers as well. So the vast bulk of the money will be FEMA money, but some of it will be USDA, because FEMA doesn't handle farms.
Any movement on the USDA funding for the EWP, the CWP? Where does that stand, and where also does the highway fund?
Okay, well, the highway fund's a different issue, but
it's all potentially used for recovery, correct?
Well, yeah, the highway funds will not be used to deal with we want FEMA funds to deal with damage here, but the highway money will be used to continue road building and bridge strengthening and all of that. And we're making progress on these issues, on all of them. It is our view that at this time of recession, that to stop the highway funding would make no sense at all, and I'm very optimistic that we will get that restored. And some of the other issues as well, I think, will be resolved. Other questions?
Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you. And look, let me just say this. Who would have thought, that a week after Irene was gone and we were beginning to focus on how to deal with the aftermath, that Lee, which many predicted once again would not be a storm that would affect us, would cause such damage. The eastern parts of the capital region got a double hit, and then Lee went to places like Canajoharie that, thank God, had been spared Irene. It's almost never ending, but our job is to make sure that what has happened when we've had disasters like this before, whether they be Katrina or the tornadoes in Joplin or many other for decades before, is that all of America pulls together and the federal government steps in and says we're not going to either allow the damage to just stay and fester and hurt the economy, but at the same time we're not going to put the burden on the local taxpayers. It's too great a burden when the disaster is as great as this. So it's been a 1-2 punch. but we're going to just keep working and working and working so that Uncle Sam steps up to the plate as he always has in the past. Okay? Thank you, everybody.
What we're looking at would have ever occurred.
Just imagine this. That building's up from 1765. It has never seen a flood like this. So this is not a typical or usual experience, and we cannot we cannot treat it like that. This is a once in 50 or 500 year experience, and we have to treat it like that. Washington has to treat it like that.
And tourism is a major industry for this district.
Right.
Heritage tourism, the artifacts of history that we have along the stretch of the waterways, is critically valuable infrastructure. And so however we can save this infrastructure, it's important. It defines us. Senator, thank you so much.
Mayor, thank you for the good job you do.
Senator,
Brian,
thank you so much.
thank you, everybody. If you want to stay and ask
The work in Washington.
We need the help from our government. Thank you so much.
Well, I certainly Mayor Thane for working with us. We've received tremendous damages along the canal system, but our priority is to work with the senator, congressman, the mayor, and the governor to ensure that we get people back on their feet first. So it's a public safety issue. We've got tremendous damage along the canal, and I think that Senator Schumer and Congressman Tonko rightfully brought out the point that these are our economic corridors, and the canal system has been a vital part of our economy. So with their partnership, we will get the federal funding that we need to rebuild our locks, rebuild the dams, and to most importantly get the aid first to all of the businesses and the individuals who have really suffered.
Can you describe for us what's going on, the damage? I know I heard mentioned before 2 rivers now instead of 1. Could you talk about that?
Well, you're seeing not necessarily here, but more so at locks 10, 9, and 8. You're seeing the river actually go around the dams and carve new channels. You have to understand that during the height of the flood, where we are standing now, we were under 7 feet of water. Lock 10, just a short way down. Cranesville, as much as 13 feet. You are seeing unheard of water amounts. The 2006 floods, which brought tremendous damage, the water levels during Irene were 7 feet higher than in the 2006 floods. So you've got a tremendous amount of water here. You've got 100-year storms, 500-year storms coming every five years now. So a lot of nature here at work.
What kind of damage? Like, what's the most damage done to one of the locks? Is there one worse than others? Or?
Well, certainly if you look down at Lock 8 in the Glenville area, you see roads eroded. Now that's a DOT bridge that goes over 8, so you see roads washed out. We lost between locks 12 and lock 7 3 lock houses, two powerhouses, damage of any magnitude to the movable dams. These structures, these beams, are not supposed to be out. They're actually pivoting out because they have broken free from the bottom shoe that actually holds them there. So in tremendous strains, they will pop out, not unlike a safety binding on your skis, you know.
So another thing, how long do you think it's going to be before they're up and running again?
We have to look. We have to let the water go down first to be able to get in there, clear out the debris, do a full assessment. So it's difficult to say now. Obviously, visually, you can see that there's a tremendous amount of work to do. Less so here than when you go down to the locks at Lock 10, Lock 9, and Lock 8, where you see roads washed away. You see powerhouses washed away. That structure there. I mean, that's huge. The powerhouse down at 10 is sitting in about 30 feet of water. The forces of nature are absolutely awesome here.
Any time frame for the bridge going over 103?
DOT will have to talk to you about that. There are DOT canal engineers down there. I was out touring the system Saturday. Truck after truck of gravel fill, trying to make a road out there to be able to reach the damage area. You've got to push the river back to where you want it to flow. So that's what we're working on now, and then trying to get the levels down to be able to see all of the damage. But it's obviously going to be very, very large.
This water's going to freeze eventually. Are we going to have the canal open again this season?
Our goal is to certainly get it all down to be able to fix and to be able to put us into winter operational mode. So again, Jimmy, we'll be able to know more as the days and the weeks go on.
What's the backlog of trips?
I don't know necessarily that we have a backlog of ships. We have about 30 boats that sought out safe harbor in the Waterford flight. You've got people that until the federal dam opens in Troy will not be able to go to the south. You've got tour ships that may have scheduled to come through here that won't be able to. The Champlain Canal is still open. Our western section from Lock 19 in Utica is still open out to the west. Hopefully we can get some more of those. But really you're seeing the major crux of all the damage between Lock 12 in Tribes Hill and Lock 8 in Scotia.
You can't ship from Schenectady to New York City.
You can if you can. Well, no, you probably couldn't because you have to. John, if we can get through 7? If you were going from the Water's Edge Lighthouse, you could probably get 7 open, and once we get the Waterford Flight open, which is fine, and then Federal Lock open, then you'd be able to get down. You're really seeing between 7 and 12. Okay, Jimmy. If you can get through 7 is fine. 7 is, minimal damage there. Of course, that's the New York State Power Authority's dam, and they did a lot of shoring up during the floods there.
And again, safe to say that's millions of dollars in damage.
Well, it's hard. I couldn't guess now, and I wouldn't want to.
And again, can you just
it's certainly not hundreds of thousands. It's much more. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Go ahead.
Can you just stress again what the list of repercussions are because of all of these damage to the locks?
Well, certainly you've got our navigational channel is all but lost between Lock 7 and Lock 12. You've got tremendous road damage that the DOT structures have also suffered. You've got power issues. You've got the lack of commerce here. Mayor knows that many people travel along the Erie Canal and want to pull up to be able to visit here to eat at Russo's, and that won't be going on. You've got Riverlink Park that was normally a wonderful place to sit and enjoy the river, and so we're doing what we have to do now.